Well, hello there, everyone. You show you right here is like they talk about you for agreement, and I'm sure most of us know it about is like for whenever we come out like for agreement about something, especially if it's going to be what you call from talking about from what we do know, what we don't know, or if it's about anything about why we ask. But on your hand, that talk about for agreement right here. I had some ideas in mind for like what you call is like for the for anything that's related to agreement to where I had some pictures in mind that I want to use, but I'm like I've seen these and I thought that this would look right here would look pretty well presented as well. Some of my Photoshop work right here, but this right here would have been me right here in like a blue like a little blue little outfit if you want to call it like maybe pajama wear or something like that. But talk about it for agreement, and anybody that may want to where I can maybe use this as an example to where if these were right here, if this was right here was me sitting on a chair right here, maybe whenever I was in kindergarten or in my bedroom and Warren to where that yeah you're gonna be reading a storybook or something like that, and for what I would look like whenever I was trying to do my schoolwork and like Warren to where that yeah that people say that yeah you look so cute, you're sitting right there in that little chair of yours. And I'm sure most of us who have seen those pictures of with me and the birthday cake, but then on your hand that you're like Warren to where that yeah it's like other than the gold monument that you would maybe want to look at a picture of besides with me wrapped up in a baby blanket. But if I were to be what you call 'em, watching cartoons or something like that, just watching cartoons and thinking necessarily to her that hey, that that yeah, that if it's gonna be what you call one of my favorite cartoon TV shows or anything like that. But talk about like for agreement though, and this right here talks about right here for like that whenever we're gonna be talking about something, and one of those would be is to where which picture that looks better, and the picture more likely could be is to where that the one facing the looking at the between odd and even directions, or if it's what you call the east or the west or something like that, vertical or horizontal or something like that. But on the other hand, that you see right here is this right here will be a picture right here of me, and this right here will be a picture right here of me right here. But then think about right here if like agreement. And basically, what does it mean for whenever we come up with an agreement on something? Basically means like yeah that for like what you call that you agree as to where that this is what you call that you like the idea you were able to what you call if you want to call it negotiate with another with somebody else about about the plans and arrangements, and as well as for anything that was going on, especially for like if it's going to be for an important possibility for education. And you see right here, if anybody can see this right here, is I have like what you call my right hand. It's like I would be right-handed here, so that I have my right hand right here if I were to be reaching over and picking up a newspaper. And I can go and show everybody right here is that you see right here is that with this what you call the right here this picture right here of the newspaper, and with the the newspaper right here is thinking necessarily to where that I'm like yeah that the newspaper right here that I'll go ahead and move this over just a little bit. But anyway, newspaper. But you have right here is a example right here of a newspaper, and basically is to where they're thinking necessarily to where that we're like Warren to where well yeah like Warren to where that whenever we're young and reading the papers and necessarily thinking about today's headlines and warrant to where this is something that we may see right here. So it's like necessarily to where that with like the newspapers. And I know like with anybody that they're like warrant to anything that you may see on a newspaper, and then thinking necessarily to where that yeah anything that you could be reading about, and think about or for how you want to come up with agreements to where that you want to read about the news, or you may want to read about things going on maybe in the community, or maybe in the fairs or festivals or holiday events or anything like that that's going on, and how you want to receive that information, and thinking that do you agree to be able to get that information off the radio or off the television, or maybe like we say on the websites or so. But so that's just a thing that what this picture right here is I show right here is that this right here would be me right here. There would be like a newspaper rack that, from the picture, there would be like a little paper rack right here. I don't know if that's what I was trying to grab, but whenever I was about maybe 1 or 2 years old, that I think the very first thing that had around at home was a newspaper. So anybody that I wanted to it, that you, I don't know if I ever wanted to read through a paper or if just look at it or anything like that. But anyway, but you have right here as example right here of a newspaper, and thinking necessarily to where that, well, with this newspaper right here, that if anybody knows, like, from what we know from, from 500,000 as well as for 1 million right here, like if I can remember right, for houses like for 1 million, but knowing about that, for what we think that what you call is considered what you call a lot of money, as well as if we were like, as a source of education. And I know, like with anybody, it's like if you're going to have your parents, like your mom or so, and they can necessarily to where that they may see something that's maybe related to your education, that like the school that you went to, and as well as anything that could be published in the papers. And I know once or twice out of a year is like the other picture that I showed, is to where that with like anybody that may warrant, to where that for any time, any kind of agreement, is to where that you likely were, to where that basically what's an agreement is to where that you're able to talk to what you call a group of about maybe a team of 4 or 5 or 10 other employees, to where they all are both following that same plan, following that same arrangement, to where that this is basically about what's going to be worked out, this is what's going to be managed. So thinking about is to where whenever we look at a newspaper here, and thinking necessarily to where that if I were to see anything about related to my information, and thinking about necessarily to where what's the first thing that maybe we may have read about whenever we were about maybe 2 or 3 years old, besides a storybook, that we may have read maybe a paper, and thinking necessarily to where that if I can remember right, the first thing whenever I worked, whenever I would look through a paper, if I can remember right, the very first thing that I think I was thinking about, whenever I was very young, was about is to where if I want anything out of the catalog, and I know I talked before about that, if there was any catalogs in there about any clothes or any clothing wear, or maybe video games or anything like that that I want to have out of there, and that there would be like a price tag on there where it would say about if there's a sale going on, order it online or order it from a catalog. And I'm sure most of us know from back in the early 80s that if they would have had stuff like that published in the papers, and thinking that the kids are going to probably say is that they want to have something from the papers or so, and thinking that yeah, that in order to be able to order it, that you would need to have like the spending cards just to be able to order those, like like a credit card or gift cards or anything like that. So I know that I don't know if there's a particular school to where that they teach you about the basics about is to where that if you all remember that time from whenever that you may have gotten into trouble over the fact about that yeah, you ordered something off of a catalog, but then it was what you call, maybe it was a video game or some toy that you wanted, or it could have been maybe related to like books. So like if you want to order a book or two, maybe from online, I'm like, yeah, that anybody like wanting to where kids going to be dreaming about having their own online account, and thinking necessarily to where, well, they're going to be ordering something on there, but is it something that they need? Or they're going to probably say, oh no, they're going to be getting into the music store. They're going to go ahead and get into the music store and maybe buy a CD or something like that. They're going to go, if they had like an iTunes account or something like that, then more likely they'll go ahead and get into the music store or so, or maybe in the candy store. And I don't know. I don't know if they have anything, like candy store available online to where you can order like what you call the sour, like anything about the Twix bar, or maybe the Hershey's Kisses or anything like that. So anybody that may want, or that, yeah, like the candy stores. I'm like, if they're going to have something like the candy store online to where you can get a good deal on the buy for like maybe, the king size, your white chocolate candy bars or anything like that. So thinking necessarily to where that a lot of things that they say that you would not actually go to the store and buy them. You would actually order them from a catalog. But within a, they said that within about sometimes it takes about 5 or 10 business days for you to get it. But still, that for how well it's like if it's what you call that preserved or if it's the rich chocolate or anything like that. But anyway, this right here is talking about, say, for the writing, though, and like with anybody that may warrant to, like, have right here M and M, and whenever I look at this, I'm like warrant toward it. Yeah, that the first thing that we may have read about before maybe our first year of kindergarten, which I know, that would have probably been about, I would say, about 1989 for me, but back in like your early 1986 and 1987, that they had a few magazines and a few papers that I was reading about and thinking necessarily to where that yeah, that during that time I probably did not understand a lot of the writing, but on the other hand, that you see right here, I'm like, yeah, I have some writing right here, and I know some of it, which you call is like a few typo errors or so. But anyway, I'm just showing an example right here. You have right here for GPA score, and for how a student learns, and keeping it, it's like for reading and writing, their time, as well as they spend to help improve their education. So whenever we look at this and thinking necessarily to her, for any type of agreement though, and like, say you read an article in the paper and necessarily thinking about is to her that, yeah, that you're working on something and all of a sudden you're like warned to her, hey, that, you agree to where that you can be able to get that, the Daily Tribute or something like that, on electronic print, or maybe have it mailed to you, or maybe if you want to go ahead and have it emailed to you or something like that. But anyway, the way I arranged these is that these were like what you call these two different like reactions, if you want to call it reactions, as to where that for what's that look that you may have on your face whenever that if you don't like the idea about something, whenever you disagree about something, and then whenever you really agree about something. So anybody that may warrant to, or how do you handle those situations to whenever you disagree about something, and we may think necessarily to where, yeah, well, what's wrong with you? Well, why don't you agree on this? Or so sometimes it seems like to where if we want to call it like maybe like a debate or something like that, to where that you can't get everybody to agree on something, and that can necessarily to where that it's going to be what you call it's going to require 5 minutes or more what you call inside in the meeting or something like that. But on the other hand, that with some of my Photoshop work here is talk about for agreement, and thinking necessarily to where that that this was right here was me, and like wanting to where that trying to agree is to where that well are you gonna go ahead and study read your book for an hour, or are you gonna watch TV or so, and thinking about is to where anything any actions or anything like that is to where that that you're able to follow along for what's going on, especially about the situation like that. So this right here would be an example right here of me whenever if I were to be in the classroom, and basically that anybody that may warrant to where that if you cannot agree with the teacher or the other students about as to where they say a few things, and you don't agree with them for any reason at all, and at the time anybody that may warrant to where that really that is it okay to disagree at times about something, is like okay to agree on something. And I know like a lot of times with education though is that a lot of the forms, like whenever you sign a form, which I know that I did a lot of that, I was paying basically to where that whenever a child turns 18 or older, that a lot of times that they say that you come up to agreement as to where anything that you may talk to at the meeting that they would ask you to sign something, but on your hand that talk about right here. At this right here would you be called what you call example right here of me right here, but these were like two different moments right here. This one right here could have been maybe with me right here, maybe watching a TV or winning a prize. This one right here could have been maybe which it caused me right here if I would have been working with maybe a Lincoln log set or anything like that, or if it was anything that was related to whatever that was going on especially. So just think about it to where, yeah, which picture looks better, huh? And then compare it to what you call looking at this right here, and anybody that may warrant to where, yeah, for which was like for the agreement. But anyway, for anything that more likely for what we agree on. But the way I think about though is like whenever we read to a magazine or some sort, and thinking about looking at these pictures right here, and we may think necessarily to where really about what does agreement basically mean, and then how do we handle it whenever we agree or if we disagree on something. And I guess basically means is to where that well really that if you do not agree, then some people that may say is to where that's just too bad. Well, deal with it. And some that may say is to where, well, we'll try to work out something. We'll try to work on something to where, for how we're willing to negotiate to where, somebody that doesn't like the idea of something, we'll try to work that out. But on the other hand, that really, if anybody really agrees as to where that for how well a child is willing to succeed in their grade scores. And I know with me right here, if let's just say with my grade score, if my score was what you call is like I'm sure anybody that more likely wants is to where if they try to work on, let's say, 100%, they try to work on a 100%, but then their score was a 90 point. I would say about 91. Yeah, I would say that between a 90 and then a 91. So that would be what you call their score right there. With the score right there, that they could probably say, on the grade score that they were trying to work on getting 100%. So I know, like with the other students, is they may warrant to where that they were trying to get 100%, and then they didn't get that far, and they warrant to where, well, what did I do wrong? I studied and I worked hard. But on the other hand, that I guess we can more likely say is to where that with that study that you worked hard, that basically means is to where that there may be some things about the work that you were working on, and that how well you participate in, as well as in class as well. And on the other hand, that this may have been before that before I started school, especially is to where if we were being graded just by reading the papers. And I know, like with anybody, that they say is to where that there's a lot more to it than just reading about the updates about what's going on in the community or some sort. One of those would be is to where that really about you for what catches maybe the reader's attention, as well as maybe different the ways that how that they're printed, that ways for like if they're going to be using what you call like a new file type format, as like anything on like a digital reader, that allowing it to where that readers are now able to where whenever they read an article like this, that they are able to place bookmarks or so. That they want to go ahead and place lines. They want to go ahead and place bookmarks, on a certain part of the newspaper for what they're reading about. And like one to where some that may agree that, well, is that going to solve anything? Is that going to help anything by putting these lines or whatever? You want to read an article in the paper, and do you like to see these bookmarks? So some people that may agree that, oh yeah, that's going to help a lot. Like, and then there may be 30 million that may say, oh no, that's not going to do no good. They're just lines. Here, this is what I suggest. It's like little bubble letter prints or something like that. So like you circle the paragraph for what you want to read about right here. Do like a little circle right here, like do like something kind of like that to make it easier to read. So thinking about it necessarily to where anybody that may, the GPA score especially. But anyway, I know a few things that I see I'm like I could maybe add, and then check as well as like you write spelling too. I'm like that it's like for keep learns to keep. I'm like to keep I don't know how that S, but anyway to keep studying is like for reading, and then that their type especially. But anyway But you see right here is like for work going on in the community. And I know like with anybody, they say that go out and you focus on the main topic right here, work going on in the community. But we weren't, or whenever we were pretty young, that we may have had a few newspapers or so around, and thinking necessarily to her that really that whenever we look at that right there, and I warned to her, yeah, you were holding out your hand right there, and like, what were you thinking about picking up? And like, well, think about picking up a paper, picking up a paper and reading a little bit of it. But anyway, but you have right there is like for 1,000,000 as well as for 500,000, and anybody will work the math problems, but a lot of the newspapers that we may read about that they may look to you something like kind of like this right here. Like you read a little bit, a little article about that, and then by the time it's like looking, it's like knowing about really by people to come up to an agreement to where how would they like to be able to get their papers, and knowing about you have right here these two different people, these two different modes. They say these the same person, but then the principle, I guess you say, is to where that how they want to be able to read a certain topic, and knowing that if it's going to be what you call one of them that wants to use what you call the electronic way, one of them that wants to get like little booklets or some sort. But I would say for an agreement, and at the time that seems like to where that's what you call a big struggle, I'm sure, with most parents or anybody that they're trying to get everybody to agree on, especially if it's going to be a movie or if it's going to be about a story or some sort. Somebody that may have a favorite story in particular, and that they're all trying to agree about which one should we start with first, and thinking necessarily to her. And I don't know if anybody has ever thought about it. It's like, yeah, usually whenever you flip a coin, and if it lands on heads or tails, then that's usually the one that they'll start out with. But at the time, we weren't aware that really the first thing to start out with is knowing about really, like, whoever's the first in line, or whoever that what you call is known to to do the presentation. It's like whoever's willing to speak. But anyway, but there you have it. Talk and say for agreement. Maybe 25. And thanks for watching. Have a great.